specific than just two bases?
Two bases that has to be like a regular shape. What I mean by that, it's not like too complicated or like.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the base can be pretty darn complicated, but just those two bases, their relationship with each other. Oliver?
They're connected by rectangles.
Yeah, you said that. Can I have like one base is a square and the other one's a triangle?
No.
So two bases.
Same bases and both connected by a rectangle. And one line.
So Matthew word, they're congruent, right? They're exactly the same size. Congruent, same shapes, right? Which if they're congruent, they're going to be the same shape. But your two bases have to be the same shape. So this is a prism. And the most complicated part of this lesson. How long are you looking to? Yeah, I just haven't seen your eyes yet. Because if I set this like this, a lot of people tell me the base is a rectangle. Because a rectangle is on the bottom right now. Base does not mean bottom. Base in Prism is what is the unique shape that has an identical twin on the other end that is connected by rectangles. So the base of this shape is triangle. And now it looks right, and we can more easily see triangular base. So, as we go through today, please be careful. Most of these will not be oriented with the base on bottom. So we start with Laurel's shell box collection that she had been keeping in a box like this. So to review what we would have learned yesterday, if we just have a rectangular prism, and we could look at the cube where neither of these really look right to scale, but how would we find the volume of a rectangular prism like a box? Not cube, but just any box.
Length times width times height.
Length times width times height. But more specifically, what that means, and please go ahead and write this with me, volume, when we say length times width times height, is actually not meaning length times width times height. What it's meaning is the area of the base, whatever shape it is, times the height, where the height comes from those rectangle connectors, right? That's an S. So really, the formula that we're going to use here, and some of you are going to be really annoyed at this, sorry, is going to be V equals big B times a little h. Because big B is not one thing. We have to find big B. Little h is one thing. Little h is real easy. Little h is given to us because it's the connector length. But big B, why we use a big B, is we have to find it. I know, big B is like a rapper or something. Yeah. So, or at least sounds like a rapper name. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a guy that I've seen in concert. He was with somebody else. I'm pretty sure there's a big B. Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to clarify everything. So it's not for that. It's a couple steps.
So let me clarify really quick. That's for any prism. If you put that in your notes, that's for any prism. Sorry, go ahead with your question, Bill.
Okay, so the volume would be the same as the area, right? So then what would the area?
Area, we have to calculate each individual face on its own. Yeah. Remember, volume is how much fits in it. So. Volume versus area, right? And you can go ahead and look at these dimensions. You can move on to that if you want. Area is here, 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 here. But I can take it out, make it flat, right? Volume is how much can I physically put inside of it. And if I try to put that flat, I'm going to get in trouble, right? So volume is three-dimensional, right? It has like mass. It has. I get it. I'm not worried about it till I get yelled at. I'm far away from you till you yell at me. Then you're in the splash zone. Front row is the expensive seats here. We gotta get the ponchos. If you've seen Blue Man Group, they give you ponchos if you sit in front. So you need to be really clear in your brain, thinking through area is a flat two-dimensional representation, even when we fold it up and make it into 3D shapes. Volume is always how much is in it, which is now my whole water bottle. So, yeah, but that I don't want to get that. I don't care if I get.
Just drink out of the container.
All right, hold on. I need to get that switcheroo. Okay. Sorry, I need that to back over here. So I'm gonna clear ink real fast. That's because I was gonna drink it.
Well, you can just refill it in the. You could probably just fill things out.
All right, so hold on. This shell box is a prism. We need to figure out what kind of prism. We name the prisms. We name the prisms based off the base. So we have to determine what shapes are connected by those rectangles. Ian? What? Un, deux, trois. So I don't know the 4 and 5 in French, but 5. Yeah, there we go. So we have, so please on your paper put pentagonal prism. So now we need to find big B, because even though it's a pentagonal prism, volume is big B times H. Big B is kind of complicated here, though, because the pentagon is awkward. What? How?
If you, the square, it's a square and a triangle. Well, not square, but yeah, you can just put it there.
Careful. It's not a square.
The one side's 5 and the other is
This 5.
It's like a square. I didn't actually have to figure out what side length square.
So guys, I really hope that you're with me, because I know that some of us try to get our homework done during class or whatever else. If you don't pay attention now, you're really, like, this stuff's on the final. So you got to get comfortable with how do I break up a complex shape, which is what we call shapes composed of others. So this pentagon is not a regular pentagon. It's not one of those nice 5-sided, like, it's 5-sided, but it's weird. It's got a rectangle and a triangle. So we break that up. We say big B is going to be the 5 times the 6, right, for the rectangle, plus I got to find the area of the triangle. Now, hopefully through your practice work, you've gotten decent at finding the area of triangles. What's your formula?
Base times width times height.
Oh.
No, base times height
I mean,
times 2.
yeah, that.
Do you have a question?
Oh no, I was raising my hand for like the.
Yeah. So what's the formula for triangle?
That would be base times height divided by 2.
Easy way. You're right, but the easy way I think about it is half of base times height. However you want to remember, it's fine, but I make the math easy by just half one of the numbers. If I have an even number, just half it, and then my multiplication gets easier. So my base of my triangle is 6. The height right here, 4, because 9, we took away the 5, this section has to be 4. So half of 6, 3, times 4 is 12. So half of 6 times 4. This comes out to be 30 plus 12. You have to show this work. There's no option to not do this and think you're going to solve these problems correctly. There's too much to do. Your calculator cannot keep a bunch of numbers in it and you know what they are. You need to show your work so that you know what things are. As soon as I find big B, I box it. I know I'm going to need this. That's important. I circle it, box it, something. I'm using that in another part of my problem. We then go back to our volume formula and do what? What's that math word when we fill something in for something else? Substitution.
Substitution.
Yes.
Would the height be 9 or 5?
Ah, the height, and this is where people get screwed up, is the distance between the bases. It's
We already did the bases.
What?
We already used those. Oh.
Remember, like Ender's Game, there's no up or down, right? So, this prism, this is not the height. The height is when I stand it up, base on bottom, distance connecting the bases. So here, that height is 8.
Oh my goodness.
What do you mean, why?
Why though?
Because it's the thing that connects the bases. I just said
Okay,
why.
so height is the thing that connects the bases, and then the B is the area of the base.
So you have to stop thinking that there's an up and down, like, correctness. There's not. Like, the height of an object is only height when oriented the right, like, when I lay down, does my height turn into the distance between, like, my butt and my chest? Like, no, my height is still this way, but it doesn't matter, right? So don't trust, oh yeah, the vertical, that's not, no. Now, it could be, might be, but it's what connects the bases. So here, we get, what?
336.
Wrong.
What?
You don't have a label, it's wrong.
Oh, units.
Nope,
No,
wrong.
it's
It's
I said inches. Yeah, the inches. I don't know what the two lines mean.
Inches below.
Thank you.
Hey, single tick mark is feet, double tick mark is inches.
Why did no one also make a
Yeah, I never knew that.
You should have learned it. So, that was a lot, right? That was a lot.
Yeah.
Do we have questions?
I guess my dad works with.
Okay, so for the pentagonal prism, right? So why are we counting like? I'm confused on why you like drew lines as a triangle.
So we split the shape up to make our life easier. Now there are like weird formulas that you can find to like do, like you just plug in all the numbers that you have, but it doesn't make sense if you don't understand why. And those weird formulas are generated from splitting the shape up into 2 different regions. We can pretty easily calculate the area of this rectangle, because it's 5 tall and it's 6 wide, hence this right here. We can pretty easily calculate the area of a triangle, half the base times the height, which then this is actually the area of the entire pentagon. And now I've got my big B, because big B is base area.
So, why? So, like, this is like just kind of like an interesting question. Like, just like, why do we do that? Why do we make the L and W a volume? Why do we make it? Why do we change the L and B to B?
Because it doesn't, it's not always rectangle. The length, width, height only works if it's a rectangular pyramid. Here, length, width, height wouldn't work because length, width, like, it's got a weird section on top. That triangle part means that length times width doesn't give you the area of that. And if we did like 6 times 9, that'd be too big, right? That 6 times 9 would be if the end was an entire rectangle right here. That would be 6 times 9, but it's not. We don't have that whole region. Up top, we're missing some sections, and that's why we have to break it apart. All right, let's try another one. What, hold up, is the base here? What type of shape?
Penelope to the office, please. Penelope.
Oh, it's the that prism.
Well,
Okay, so it's the 12 by 38 part.
Yeah.
what kind of shape?
Quadrilateral.
Quadrilateral. Not rectangle, but this right here is your base. Because then these are your rectangle connectors.
kind of hard.
Yeah.
I was wondering about it. It's going for you.
Hey, focus, guys. You should be doing this on your own. Don't look at me. It would help you to at least draw out the base shape in your notes. So if you want in your notes, draw that quadrilateral and label that like base or something, so that you can show where you split it and then how we're going to compute it separately. If I'm splitting it vertically right there, what does this region end up being?
What?
45 subtract
13.
13.
13.
I thought you meant the triangle. You missed that. You have like no fingers.
13 times what? 12.
Where?
Wait, it's
Yeah.
volume.
Yeah. Yeah.
The height is the one that connects it to the base. Okay, so. Yeah,
Yeah, so then it's 3,780.
okay, I'm right. Oh, thanks for telling all that.
Yeah, no problem.
Color coding is your best friend. Next year, I'm going to require one of those color changeable pens.
I have one of those. Oh, I love those.
For the rectangular region, how do I calculate that area? Well,
Like
this region.
yeah, okay, 12 times 25.
12 times 25, which comes out to be just 300. And the triangle then, half, because it's a triangle. Yeah.
12.
Yeah, make it easy. Do your 12 first because you can do half of 12. So really it's 6 times 13, which gives us... Then... And really, if you want to be technical, you should label it feet squared.
Oh, I forgot to.
No, it's Q.
That's
I
big
mean,
B.
sorry, yeah.
We're not done.
Oh, okay.
That's just base area. That's the other big mistake people make is they like have you've done a bunch of work and you think you're done and you forget like, oh crap, that's just big B. But now once we have that, life's easy.
Really easy, yeah.
My height, my distance between my bases is 10 here. So we come over and we say volume. Always write out the formula so you don't forget. Hey, so oftentimes, I haven't clarified this, but oftentimes in math we use capital letters to represent something that has to be calculated or computed. Lowercase letters, something that can be substituted. So that's why I'm using big B, little h, like very specifically. Big B has to be found. Little h just needs to be plugged in. So big B, we found it to be 378. Little h, we just know it, it's given to us, it's times 10.
So it's 3,780.
Now you can also label it cubic feet. That's another way that you can label volume. Okay, close that. Questions on this one? Start the next one on your own. I'm just going to... Yeah, well, you guys...
You always say that.
Just so you know, it's very frustrating when every day I've asked you to get books out and every day people don't, and then I can't leave this up here because y'all won't be able to see the next problem. Are we going to move on? Still solving. This is kind of... So we can look at these interestingly shaped prisms in a few different ways. Like we can manipulate the angles that we hold them, that we look at them, and then we could look at layers. I don't think we really need to go that deep into that right now. we're just going to move on to some practice.
The homework.
So, we're skipping 87 because I sure hope you can do that. I'm going to move some of this further down.
There's just more. Everything.
Yeah.
Leave yourself 4 lines, A, B, C, or 2 lines because you won't use much space. All you have to do is tell what the base is, and if it's not a base, explain why it's not a prism. So, what CPM wanted me to do, but there's no time, is teach you guys this by first looking at the single layer at the bottom, which is your big B. What? You laughing at me fighting with the cables down here? Yeah, I have a bunch of cables that I don't like sitting on top of. So, this whole 1 unit high layer of each prism, that's your big B. Okay, so when they talk about a 1 unit high layer, big B times 1 doesn't do anything. But that would give you the volume of layer 1. And then you stack layers on top of it, and that really becomes your height, quote unquote, which is the distance between the bases. They try to lead you to it really kind of slowly, but I'm trying to work more efficiently. So here to calculate big B, well, we actually have 2 choices here. Well, 3 choices really, but because of how it's made, only 2 really. I can look at this rectangle as my base, or I could look at that square as my base. But if we want to make life easy and say base is on bottom, bless you, let's envision right, so that's the back, what you can't see, because the shape is solid. So this is going to be our base, our big B. Big B's pretty easy here, right? 500. And it's just times 10 to find volume. Now, a little bit harder over here. A lot of people screw up with triangles. What is particular about base and height? Because right now I have 3 dimensions on this triangle. I have 12.7, I have 9, right, this edge would have to be 9, and this edge would have to be 9. Alex, you have your hand up. Do you know what's particular about choosing what sides I use for the triangle?
Because it really depends on how you look at it. But
Okay.
right now, how we're looking at it, like it looks like the base is 9 and the height might be 9.
Okay. Ava, you guys are chatting. Do you know anything about what sides we have to choose for the triangle?
The triangle has to be one that you colored.
Right, but what edges of it? We have 3 edges given. We have to pick what do I use as little b, little h, as the base and height of the triangle.
The height would be the one that's a right angle. So like,
In a triangle, base and height have to be connected by the right angle. So look for the right angle, and those 2 sides are the ones you work with. That 12.7, we're not going to use that at all in this problem. It is a distractor. So this is 1/2 9 times 9, which sometimes this would be easier to deal with, do the multiplication than do half of it. But the multiplication comes out to be 81, so it's not really. I don't know. Depends on how you want to do it, but it comes out to be 40.5, I believe.
Good morning, Caroline Putnam. Please come to the office. Caroline Putnam, please come to the office. Thank you.
The distance connecting the 2 bases together is 8. Mm, 324.
Yep.
Does that make sense? Does it make dollars? Pesos? Rupees? Pounds? What about pounds?
Can we do it?
We are.
No, I know.
I mean, sure, you can go rogue. To what? So, remember, Naya's asking for clarification on why we chose what we chose. Remember, the base of the prism has to be the thing that has a twin, like a congruent, exact same thing on the other end, connected by rectangles. So if I try to choose this as the base, there is not a twin on the other end. Now, there might be a twin rectangle, like right over here. These are twin rectangles, but they're not on opposite ends of the shape. So to be a prism, you have to have two congruent shapes, like twins, connected by rectangular faces between. So, although this looks weird, imagine this, although it would be a little bit different of a triangle, this is standing like this kind of, right? You got this edge here. Your base is actually this triangle, because that's the unique shape that's not the rectangles. We calculate that area, have to stretch it this entire distance, which that's where our height of 8 comes from. Other questions? It doesn't relate to anything that we need. It does not. One, they're in my way and you're talking over me. It does not help us find the area of the triangle because it's not the base or the height of the triangle. It's actually the hypotenuse of the triangle. We don't care about that right now, but it's not the base or the height because the base or the height has to be connected by the right angle. And it is not the height of the prism because the height of the prism is what connects those two triangles in this case. So we just don't need it. It's just not important. Take the next 5 minutes to just work on your work. And there's a bunch. Like you go on to sleep and there's like.
No.
I don't like using the eye. I can practice it, but
Yeah. Hey, does that help clarify the surface area versus volume?
Yeah.
Like, I get that surface area is the entire shape, but it'd be like if you were trying to paint a shed versus put things in the shed, right? So, like, imagine I'll paint the roof too. Like, how much paint do I need versus how much paint can I store inside of this? Like, you know what I mean?
How much paint do you need? Because I always thought area was the stuff on the inside.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you brought that up. What? I'm gonna go dump this out the door. You woken up?
Wait, that makes sure he Hudson got water grass. And he don't look anymore in my face.
You have to water it already more than it
Good
more than it has been. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot. We literally just had one.
Oh, so we'll get to this in like a week or two. But I have a challenge question for you guys. If this pyramid has the exact same base as this cube, how would the volume of this pyramid relate to the volume of the cube? I should have done this while the cube was still full of water.
It's the triangle.
Just fill it back up.
What? Don't fill up with your water bottle in there. Can I put this back in this?
We have to
No,
let that
not
dry
this wet.
first.
Yeah, let's dry.
Can a cylinder be
We ended up Googling and did, well, actually, you guys didn't, because somebody else in AL, I think it was Lena or somebody, who told me. We determined through no, I hate when we just Google the answer.
Oh yeah.
Prisms need to be a polygon on the ball, like as a base, not on the ball, sorry. A polygon base. So cylinders are just in their own classification.
They're close. It's just because they only have one.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same type of shape. It just has its own classification.
Because it only has one side.
It's almost like saying a circle is an infinitely sided polygon, which it's not really true, but we can kind of think of it like that. If I have any sand. I need to get sand because they actually suggest I need like a bucket of sand in my classroom. Then I could pour sand into these things and shit.
And then you would get sand everywhere. No, you could just like scoop it up.
I would never flick sand.
Eat back together.
You yelled at me 3 times.
No, he wouldn't
Sand,
he would
or
grab
bad
up a bucket.
combination.
So, great question. So, Izzy's asking, could the volume of a cylinder work the same? Could it be the same sort of process? Find a base area and then just multiply by the distance between the bases. Yes. It's absolutely the same. This behaves the exact same as a prism. If you can find the base area, which we know is pi r squared, then multiply it by the connecting distance, that's your volume. And
You have, wait, you have a hexagonal prism.
what? You can. How do I? Yes. You guys know it. As long as you put everything back where it belongs, right? See, but that, like, then you start, like, I had a kid before say, like, how many of those are there? Like, that doesn't matter. There's infinitely many. Like, you have to think there are infinitely many tiny rectangles. Infinitely many, infinitely small. Because then all of them together, because this is a curve, right? There aren't actually edges. But we can calculate how long this is. It's just don't ask how many rectangles there are. It's just
I
how
couldn't
long.
have one of these shapes. This.
What if for what? Yeah. You can look up any formula. Hey, so we are out of time.